of the madman. That's getting old. But anyway, I was called crazy, but I know I'm crazy. Fuck. But anyway, this is my Rachel Corrie video. Nobody watches my videos, so nobody's going to know about this. But if even maybe one person will look into it, it'll be a good thing. Rachel Corrie was a girl, an American girl that went over to the area in Palestine where they were mowing down the homes of the Palestinian people, killing their animals, and then displacing the people into the ghetto. And her and, there's a bunch of activists. They're from all countries, Israel and a lot of other countries also. And they would put their hands around, they would stand around the building that the Israeli army was getting ready to bulldoze so they could build these settlements for the Israelis. And they would put their hands around the house, a bunch of people, hand to hand, and make a chain around the house, and then the army would be at a standoff, and mostly the people that were doing it would eventually lose anyway. And this one particular time, they just simply ran her over with a big B9er bulldozer and crushed her to death. Rare, horrible. She's just a little tiny girl, with a brave, big heart. And I think everybody should take a moment of silence and remember this girl for her bravery. And now, it was simple. This is so simple. The reason she was there was she wanted to see how the other side of the tax dollars are felt. Our tax dollars. Like, we give $3 billion a year to the Israeli military and all in military equipment. And she wanted to go and witness the Palestinian side, the receiving side of these weapons, the downrange side of these weapons. And that's what she was trying to experience. And that really did something to my heart when I heard that. Because she's exactly right. We should not only look at how our tax dollars are spent, but go on the other side and see what the results of these tax dollars being spent, the misery and the suffering that it's causing all over the world, not just in Israel, but all over the world. And then you got the religious people in America saying, well, you have to support Israel because there's some kind of quote in the Bible, that's a verse, and it says that those who support Israel I'll bless them, yes, says Yahweh, the Creator God. And those who do not, bless Israel, then I will be against, says Yahweh, the Creator God. And I think that, we have to look at this. We have to look at this whole picture a little closer. And Rachel Corrie kind of brought this out. The thing is, that I always say there are two Israels two Israels. And even in the time when Yeshua, the Creator God incarnate, for the Christ, walked this earth, there was two Israels. And there was the scribes and the Pharisees and the captains and the political people that were really rich and lived off the backs of the poor people. Now, when Christ came to this earth, who did he go to? Did he go to the scribes, the Philistines, the rich people, who were actually trying to keep the poor people down? They wouldn't even let the poor people read and write because they didn't want them to read the Torah for themselves and find out the truth, because they were just making stuff up as they go along to get the money off the poor people and tax them to fucking death. I mean, that's why the Christ was born in Bethlehem, because they had to go be counted so they could be taxed. In a census, they had to be taxed. So they were going to the census in order to be taxed. So the Christ was born in the midst of this. And did he chum around with the Pharisees and the rich people and the captains of the day? No, he chummed around with the poor people, the taxpayers, the people that were burdened by all this. Look at these birds, man. This is pretty cool. It's kind of really cold out here, and the ice is starting to freeze back up again. And they look for places to go, open water, maybe a little algae growing, some food. But it's the same today. You have the rich Israelis, the ones, the Likud party, the ones that just got elected. They don't even follow the Torah. They have their own Bible called the Talmud. And you have to understand what this thing says. It says the Golems, that's us, anybody that's non-Jewish that believe like they do, are here to serve them. That's it. Just like in the days of Enoch. The man on earth was feeding the Nephilim until there was nothing else to eat, so he started feeding on man. And the same thing's doing now, except we're not feeding them food. We're feeding them our tax dollars, our blood and sweat, and our very souls. And one day they're going to want more and more and more, and that's going to happen soon with this World War III coming up, these conjuring up of these demons, and it's all related. But the thing is, It was the same back in the days when Christ walked the earth as it is now. You have the two Israels. You had the real Israelis back in those days. I call them the John the Baptist Israelis, the ones who had to go to the desert to live, because otherwise they would have been jailed and beaten up. And it's the same nowadays. You know, I always tell people, before there was Occupy Wall Street, Occupy Oakland, or whatever, there was Occupy Tel Aviv. And these people were there for like a year, maybe more than a year. And their voice was not heard at all because it was not put on any kind of news except for maybe, you know, the Jerusalem Post or, you know, one of the Haaretz, you know, newspapers over there. But just little columns. And what happened in the end? You know, the government got fed up with it. They beat the fuck out of them. They took them to jail. That's what happened to the real Israelis. The Israel Israelis they want to stop the settlements. And you got to look at how Netanyahu got into power in the first place. And nobody even knows that in America. They don't even know it. What happened to Ariel Sharon? Nobody knows that shit. Look it up. I mean, I'm not going to explain it here. This is my video for Rachel, Corrie, who died bravely, protecting innocent people. The other end of our tax dollars. The way our tax dollars are spent. The receiving end. Not the receiving end when it's given to them. The receiving end of the bullet. The receiving end of the other side of the tank, looking at the tank with the gun Corrie pointed it at you. That's the other side of the tax dollar. Now we spent trillions on these wars. Now guess what? There's no Social Security for the old people. Medical's being cut. You know, why? So we could spend $1 trillion on these wars. And look at Obama. What's he done? Since he's been in office, all he's done is extend what Bush started. He was a president that went into office on the forum that he was going to be a peace president, and there's going to be no wars. He even got a Nobel Peace Prize. And there's been more wars and death, or just as much as him under Bush. And we lost the fucking war. Spent $2 trillion and lost the fucking war. Now we're going back. Well, it's all about conjuring up these demons. So that's why we're going back and mass sacrifice their humans. Everything's in place, man. Everything's in place. Rachel Corrie, brave. Everybody should remember her, no matter what. There's two Israels. Which one are you supporting? Are you supporting the ones that read the Talmud and go by? You know what the Talmud too? They conjure up demons. If you got a religion that conjures up demons, get rid of it. Get away from that religion as far as you can. You know, you talk about the Muslims, but you don't talk about the people that follow the Talmud, the Jews. Not the ones that follow the Torah, the ones that follow the Talmud. Oh, that's the Likud party. That's who we elected, my friends. And you know, hey, there's good Israelis and there's bad. Just like in the days of Christ, there was good ones and bad ones. And what happened when the bad ones were being exposed? They just took care of it and killed everybody. That's what's going to happen again, unless we wake up. Duck out.